Welcome back to Valiant Hearts, Chapter 4, Wooden Crosses. Take a wild guess what they represent.
Life. Ever so vibrant life. Or the opposite of that.
Well, fuck. Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing that they didn't know was the fact that Saint Mihiel was occupied by German soldiers.
Karl was sent back to fight.
That's just peachy.
Wow.
I mean, they managed to get away, which is more interesting, like more optimistic than the usual fate, but...
it's back to the drawing board in a lot of areas.
Anyway, time for another point-and-click style section with Karl, where we need to, give the orders to one of the commanders, and then potentially start, attacking. But the thing is, obviously, with all the puzzles that we had, it's not going to be easy, and we'll have to exchange, items here and there, and some minor puzzles. There's actually a pretty cool one here too, I will say, but all in due time. Also, yeah, as you can see, also some propaganda for the... Since the master guess at this point of the war was pretty much, knowledge. So now even the knowledge to counter it was getting, more and more spreading. It was spreading more and more. So even the civilians were starting to, get countermeasures, which it's probably a good thing considering at this stage of a war, more and more cities were targeted, including, targeting civilians, similar to what happened to, crap, I forgot the name. Basically, one of the cities that we saw before, and as a report said, was completely, burned to the ground from the bombardments and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this was also the first case on a global scale where a city could be a city with centuries of foundation of it could be destroyed in mere days, with leaving nothing behind. The closest thing that we had up until this point was an exemplar destruction back in the Roman, back then Roman Republic mostly, where they decided to destroy in Carthago, I think it is, basically condemning it with the words in Latin, Carthago delenda est, Carthage must be destroyed, to the point where they left no building up, and they even spread salt all over the place, so nothing could grow from it. But that was mostly for exemplar purposes. Here instead was just for burn and literally leaving no ground for the soldiers. But it is a good thing. Walt has found his previous owner, the medic of the German camp that we saw earlier.
Huh.
So see, some stories here have a better ending. And it turns out he even recognized his car from his regiment. Basically now Karl will have to change his uniform. Obviously, to conform with the other soldiers. Karl changes costumes in this game more times than Mega Man X in one of his, with one of his armors. I forgot, Jova, is X6 the one with like 3-4 different armors?
Are you talking about the armors themselves or the armor parts?
The armors themselves. I think. Oh, there you go. Basically, you need, in order to get to the helmet here and the and the backpack, you need to open the vault there, but you'll need to, to find the combination. For now, it's best just to follow the instruction of a medic.
Thank you.
There we go. For now, we have, in a second, the uniform. Yeah, sure, that's fine. We're still missing the backpack and the helmet, obviously. Now, Jove, I think it's X6 where you have the standard armor, the Pegasus armor, the heavy armor, and potentially the ultimate armor if you input a code.
That's more than 3, though.
Yeah, 3, 4, whatever. I just forgot how many there were.
It's okay. Don't get too brushed up about it.
There you go, we also opened up, no, actually no. Basically, for one other door to get the helmet, we'll need one key for it. So basically now it comes a sort of a scavenging hunt, to find the both way to enter the room. There we go. Unlocked here. A passage. Here's a cool trick that you need to do. You need to find a projectile in order to make the key dropped, and then having, you know, distract the guards, and then having Walt get them. But obviously, right now we don't have anything to, you know, drop anything. Like, the car doesn't even bother to actually ask the guard for the keys. No. We need to find a different kind of way to put it.
I guess to be fair, he doesn't want to push his luck. Considering how he is apparently being suspected of being a traitor.
So here's the cool thing, if you get an apple and go back to the medic here, you will actually give it to him, to give it for one resource, and you will get one of the artifacts as a compensation. That's a nice touch, and the game doesn't really tell you, it just shows that the doctor is turned into a horse, and it gives you this bunch of infinite outposts. So it might come to a sort of an instinctual level to a player saying, what if, you know, I just, you know, give one here, potentially. There you go. And then, there you go. That's a good boy. So let's get to the helmet. There we go. Only thing missing is the backpack, but as previously saw, we need a combination. But hey, there's a flag here, and there's interesting symbols on the glass.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how interesting?
Well, again, it's classic. It's classic point and click, you know, Sierra slash LucasArts logic. Again, an interesting throwback considering Ubisoft nor this team never particularly, you know, sort of cared for the genre in itself. But it shows that at least some people in the team actually played some of those and were actually fan of them. There you go. If you raise the flag at that point and you cross-reference like that with the... There you go. You will find some numbers, specifically 8, the first to use, 1, the second to use, and 5. There you go. No idea who decided to scribble these or how they did manage to do it, but hey, that works for me.
Someone who knows Karl, given how his name was written in the top left.
There you go. To wait confirmation, you just need to linger over the number and just wait. There we go. You can potentially also sequence break if you know already the number. You don't really need... The numbers are not randomly generated, so the game is merciful on multiple playthroughs. Like, for example, if you want to get an artifact that you're missing.
Alright, looks like we got everything.
Yep. Only thing to do is to report. Oh! How great timing! The French are attacking.
That'll be the perfect time for us to slip out of here.
Yeah.
Of course, it's gonna be awkward when the French see us dressed up in German outfit and then arrest us.
Well, Paul Karl will have to improvise as always. Again, so young and already has this tormented life.
I love how they kept around Karl dressed up in French soldier outfit, even though they knew he was German. Uh-oh.
Oh no!
No, not Walt's owner!
We just got him again, damn it!
About that happy ending, Tio.
Poor Walt. Pet him. Oh. But we need also to think for ourselves, we're trapped here, so we need to get out fast. There you go, all back on the front. So now basically there also will be sections where the master gas will impede progress, so you will need to find a way to either circumvent it or, you know, go find another way to potentially tank it, like with a gas mask.
But of course.
Let's see. I thought there was an artifact potentially there, but no. There you go. Yeah, problem is there's a bomb. Yeah, but it's
no, Karl, you can't. No, Karl, you can't Shoryuken the problem away.
Well, for this one, yes.
No. If this was Sonic the Swordsman, maybe we could Shoryuken.
Okay.
Pedro, wrong franchise.
This particular section is a bit annoying. You need to have Walt pull the crate so it moves that hook. Problem is, then you have to start punching slightly before he starts ascending, so it will create momentum in order to reach the gas mask at the height of his, of his propulsion upward. It's more complicated than it looks. You need to time everything right, and of course, it's not that. There you go. It's not as easy.
Sounds like it's more complicated than it needs to be.
It's due to the physics of the hook. Unfortunately.
Well, Joe, but that's why I said if this was.
There we go.
Not that it is.
Thankfully.
Again, though, wrong franchise.
There you go. However, we don't really need. It's best to not give it to us for ourselves, but to Walt instead. Remember, there's a section. There you go.
I guess it was better his fit.
Yeah, because remember, there's another one there, but it's blocked by the gas, so let's have Walt take it.
Good boy.
There we go. So now we can move freely in the gas sections. However, still a problem of visibility, so yeah, we need to move properly towards the farm, but we'll get to it at another point.
Of course.
Now it's time to showcase a bit some things that were potentially cut, because we are prized the action with Freddie. But I think it's his last appearance. Again with the British Army.
Canadian troops.
And we have George here. George is a British aviator, was heavily promoted in trailers and other materials, including him being with Walt and everything.
He's barely in the game.
Yeah, he's just this kind. I genuinely think there was an entire section that was supposed to be with him that was cut away for time or other development issues.
It wouldn't be the first time, especially if its sister game is anything to go off of.
I mean, keep in mind though, considering the state of the game as it is now, compared to Child of Light, considering the state of the game right now, even with that being cut, we still managed to have a solid quality, both with the story and with the educational purposes. So I actually really wonder what actually could have been if they implemented that too, but I wonder how much of an impact would it have been, obviously.
While we're at it, Ubisoft, how about actually telling us how exactly is Child of Light 2 doing? By the way, because
oh, that's right, Child of Light 2 is a thing. I almost forgot.
Well, that one was supposed to be a teaser, so that it's one of those things that you shouldn't know, stuff like that.
Yeah, so the creator tweeted something with the image. Oh, look at this! And then the script for Child of Light 2 on the
Basically, it was to celebrate the Switch port of Child of Light. Yeah, the creator tweeted that, and it was like in that mini corner, that thing. But again, until Ubisoft, there's a cool thing. You have to actually caliber correctly here the length. There you go. So until Ubisoft actually does have an official statement, I'll just wait.
Well, Teo, maybe it's a good sign. Maybe it means that unlike with the first one, they're not going to rush in and actually take their time, hopefully.
Hopefully.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I will say this, though. I do wonder if maybe they should have waited until they at least had enough to show us an idea of what to expect. Like, if it's a 65, sequel or if it's just a spiritual successor with the number 2.
Well, it's all speculation, Joe, at this point. No use really banging our heads for.
Oh, obviously. I'm just saying that Ubisoft, maybe they should have waited a bit on announcing that.
Like, well, again...
Well, technically they didn't announce it. It was the creator who just showed the script on Twitter.
For all we know, it was even out of... It was being out of control. There you go. First of all, basically, there you go. Using the caliber on the other trench, we know the actual caliber 5 in this case. Boom. And 65. Again, one reason why there may be raising questions about Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil 2 is because for those games, we know they had official announcements, we know their states and everything, so it's legit when we should expect them to show up and they don't. For Shadow of Light 2 is a bit more complicated, especially considering... oh shit. Especially considering the UBR engine unfortunately hasn't been used in a long time.
We don't even know if they're going to use the VR engine for Child of Light 2. It could go either way. But anyway,
like I mentioned in that commentary, Jova, it's a bit weird because while mostly everything is done with the UBR engine, the characters from quote-unquote the real world are in actual 3D models for it. So it's an interesting pastiche. Here instead is practically everything is 2D.
Let's see, yeah, you know, not many games were made using the UBR engine when you get down to it.
For reasons that I've yet to understand. I mean, I mean, it allows the developers to take full advantage of beautiful 2D art. It's cheap. It makes games. It's cheap to work on it. You know.
That one actually, I don't think we know or not.
I mean,
at the end of the day, it's still technically 2D animation. So.
Well, so.
Not always. Yeah. 2D animation isn't always less expensive to make these days, unfortunately.
Like the reason why for using anime style Arc system prefers to have the Unreal Engine 4 just with the paint coat to simulate instead of actually using 2D animation is because it's easier that way. Unreal is an easier tool to work with, you know, and it's easier for them to apply the coat. Oh, there you go. You need to wait to George to give you the signal. Easier to apply the code rather than to have manually drawn the sprites one by one.
You know, I will say, out of all the games that uses the UBR engine, Valiant Hearts looks the most different from the pack. Like, you know, with stuff like the Rayman games or Child of Light, they seem to share something of like this painted-on, blended sort of structure.
It's also the different art style. Rayman has these pastel, you know, feel to it.
Which Child of Light kind of feels like it has, though to a bit of a different extent. This one feels
Child of Light goes for the fairy tale aspect, so obviously its art and colors and details are more akin to what we'd expect for a children's book. Here instead it goes for sort of an old documentary vibe, which makes sense.
Well, yeah, absolutely. What I'm saying is like, well, Child of Light and Rayman seem similar enough in their art style to the point where you think that's what the UBR engine is for, but no, I mean, this game does show that it has more variety out of it, though I do have to wonder what the UBR engine focuses on. Like, does it focus on looks, or does it focus on performance more so?
It's mostly a graphics engine. Basically, as was originally announced, it was a way for Ubisoft to try to make, you know, indie-style games, you know, to appeal to the indie craze that was going on at the time. And at the same time, it allows the developers to use a really good 2D art style that takes full advantage of the 2D perspective. Problem is, again, like me and Ted said various times, but at this point, Ubisoft for some reason is just not using it.
Unless we count the ports, but yeah, that's kind of cheating.
Yeah.
The last time it was
patriotism, we managed to find ourselves. There you go. To the enemy lines.
I mean, the last year that this engine was used was in 2015 for our Gravity Falls game and Rayman Adventures.
I mean, think of it this way, Jova. Imagine a 2D Sonic game using the UBR engine, trying to fully replicate the visuals of the Sonic CD opening animation. That would be glorious.
Meh.
Don't care for that animation?
No. I like the animation of Sonic CD. I just don't know if the UBR engine would be up to snuff for it. Because for one thing, if there's one thing I've seen with the
might as well have it similar to Shantae being done by a studio like Studio Trigger.
I'll put it like this. From what I've seen from the UBR engine, it definitely works well, but I don't know if it worked well with the speed and the sort of... what's the term I'm looking for.
Well, the Rayman games.
Well,
the Rayman games can be pretty fast.
Not quite as fast as like the likes of the Sonic CD.
There we go.
And also, Michael, if we're using the engine for just replicating the look of that, there are definitely other engines that can do that.
There you go. Can you feel the patriotism?
Yay, Canada!
And yes, the United States declared officially their entrance in the war at the moment, which for Freddie was actually good to know. Although his brother apparently also conscripted. But we'll see how this concludes in the next part, which we'll see who will live, who will die, and whatever happens. See ya!
See ya.